Hi readers, welcome back to my channel, Lila Wanders and Reads. Lee here, and allow me to reintroduce myself. So, this is probably only the second time I've done a Booktube tag video, and I'm a little uncomfortable with tagging people. I'm not quite sure what the etiquette is, so if I get it wrong, please forgive me. Don't hesitate to DM me and tell me to take your name out my mouth, somebody's mouth. Anywho, so the original tag for this was the Booktuber bio tag by Jessica at Jessica's Library Card. I found it on Eric Carl Anderson's channel, and I thought it's been a minute, not a lot of minutes, since I got on Booktube and since I've done my intro video, so I thought it was time. So there are 10 questions on this. The first one is, who are you? My name is Lee. My channel's name is Lila Wanders and Reads. It's complicated on why that's the name. And I was born abroad in Germany to a U.S. Army officer, and because of that we lived all around. Then later on in life I joined the Army myself and lived all around again. Right now I am currently working as a government contractor in North Carolina, and that's it. But my origin story when it comes to books is I've read all my life. I have always been an avid reader, except probably in the thick of my career, especially in my time overseas. I have spent time in Afghanistan and Iraq, and that is kind of a essential thing to know about me. I get really passionate about some things on that. I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, my origin story for reading. I've always been an avid reader. In the thick of my career, especially overseas, I did not read as much. But then in 2020, on March 9th, I think, I closed on the house that I currently live in. And right after that, we went into the lockdown-ish. I still had to go to work most days, but one of the things about this house, which I love, is that it does not have a garage. So all my books are in this, what I call the long living room, and they were all boxed up. And I didn't want to get roaches, so I took a week off right before lockdown, and I had to unpack all the books, and I carried all my books, almost all my books, upstairs to where my bookshelves are. And it was a lot of work. I don't know if you have a lot of physical books, but moving physical books around and shelving them is a workout in and of itself. And so about that time, I was like, you know what? It's time to start reading again. And I did, and I kept reading, and now I read more than I watch television, which is a good thing. And after a while, I wanted to talk about the books that I read, but Instagram, which is what I was on in the beginning, only allowed at the time like 90 seconds, maybe even less, for you to talk about a book, and I just couldn't get the things I wanted to say out. So that leads me to question 2. How long have you been on Booktube? I am at just under a year and a half. I think I'm at a year and 4 months. I started in November or December of 2023. I started testing out the camera before then, and then I finally just launched in November or December, I'm not sure. So about a year and a half. It has been fun. I have loved being on here. I love making the videos, but we'll get to more of that in a second. What kind of books do you love to read? This is question 3. And has Booktube had an effect on what you read? Yes to the second question, straight up. So prior to me moving into this house, I read primarily suspense, thriller, horror, maybe a little romance. 2 of my go-to authors for most of my life are Stephen King, horror, and Nora Roberts. And I've just always read that, and then I like murder and suspense and thrillers. But since being on Booktube and in this house, I've started to stretch my reading, and it has really changed So my bar for murder and thrillers has now been raised a little bit. It's not, sometimes the stuff I would have read years ago is not satisfying to me anymore. But now I read across all genres except for science fiction for the most part, and I've read more literary fiction because of some of the booktubers I follow. And I did find last year I did kind of a Booker Prize long list project. It's like a muscle maybe? Like once I worked it out, some other things, other genres or types of books were too light for me. So I've definitely expanded. I've come to appreciate all different genres and literary fiction more than I did in the past. I will read almost anything now. Number 4, what do you enjoy about making booktube videos? I love talking about the books that I read. One of my main standard videos each week is my weekend books, where I talk about the books that I read the week before and how the week went from a reading standpoint. Number 5, what do you not enjoy about making booktube videos? This is all me. This is all internal pressure. 1, I feel like I have to make 3 videos every week. Last week I only did 2, but it's my own pressure that I put on myself, so that's really a problem with me, not necessarily making the videos. The other thing is, I don't edit. I don't edit because I do all this on the weekend. I have a full-time job, and in my full-time job, I sit in front of a computer all day. So the last thing I want to do is sit in front of a computer and edit videos. Also, I like to be real. If I make a mistake, I'm not going to try to edit it out or cover it up, but I would like to get my start and finish a little less so it looks like I'm pushing the button on the camera, which I am. This next one is a tough one for me. Number 6, what video on your channel are you most proud of? And I think I'm going to go with the rant. I have been working to be more positive and open, but when something pisses me off, I'm going to say something about it. And I did a rant about a book by one of my favorite authors in the past. She had been one of my favorite authors, but this book just ruined it for me. And that is Murder Road by Simone St. James. I'm a mini rant here. So everything else about the book I was on board with, I loved, I could suspend my disbelief. It's about a ghost but remember when I said I had been in Iraq and Afghanistan? The Iraq War started in 2003. I was in Afghanistan at the time. And 14-month deployments happened in the Iraq War. Numerous IEDs, etc., happened in the Iraq War. Having to do multiple deployments happened in the Iraq War. But this book was set in 1995, and the main character's husband had been in the military. My eyes started twitching because I'm getting anxious about this. And there's all these references to 14-month deployments, multiple deployments, etc., etc. But the Iraq War hadn't started in 1995. The Gulf War didn't last the length of a 14-month deployment. So she was making all these references to the Iraq War out of time. And I was livid. No editor caught that. Okay, so you know what? Again, I try to be more positive, but that is the video I am most proud of because I call her out on her bullshit. It's offensive to me that she would just assume, and a lot of people did not catch that. Mostly people who had never deployed. Okay, mini rant over. Number 7. I'm looking on a card. Is there anything you wish was different about Booktube? I think the people I follow are just regular people. They're not influencers. They are regular people who are talking about books, new and old. And I wish there were more out there. I saw a woman that I follow on Twitter talked about how much confidence you have to be on Booktube. I mean, you can fake that. And I said, look, you just have to put yourself out there. I'd watch you. I love your Twitter stuff. So I would like to see more regular people out on Booktube. Okay, this is a little tough because I'm going to do more than 3. But question number 8 is 3 books you've reviewed that you feel represent you as a reader. I don't do as many reviews as I would like to do. I do my week in books. A lot of times I will do a book haul. More about that later. And sometimes I just read so fast that I don't take the time to do a review. Now, this week, actually tomorrow, I've got a review posting on Blue Sisters by Coco Mellors. I either do a review when I really love a book or when I really hate it. And I don't think I did a review of one of my favorite books of this year, and that is Fundamentally by Nusaybah Yunus. I should have. I just loved it so much I couldn't find all of the words. So, what books I reviewed that represent me as a reader? Prophet Song, I like dystopia. The Women, I am really kind of fixated right now on World War II and particularly the role of women in that. And I want to highlight more women in writing and in war throughout my channel as the years go on. And here's why. That was number 2. In 1996, my grandfather died. At that time, I was in the National Guard in college. And in my family, we would have a viewing the night before, and then the next day was the funeral. So I went to my grandfather's viewing, and for some reason I was in uniform, and I was very shy back then. And this man came up to me at my grandfather's viewing and said, "I don't think women should be in the military." And obviously that I remember it nearly 30 years later means that had an effect on me. Then, a couple years ago, my sister gave me a book called A Woman of No Importance. You could maybe see it right there. It's in that somewhere. About Virginia Hall. And after I read that and read how much she, a one-legged woman, due to an accident, went through physically that many men would not have been able to do, I was like, I wish I could tell that motherfucker off, but anywho. So I went into The Women and did that review thinking about Virginia Hall and that asshole who insulted me at my grandfather's viewing. How rude. Murder Road, that's one of them. I'm proud of that video, and I think it represents me as a reader because I so wanted to love the book, and I could not. And then there's a book called We Used to Live Here, and I just blanked on the author's name. I did a review on that. I really love that book. It is like mixed reviews. People either loved it or hated it. I loved it. It felt like a dream to me. Like, you know, one of those dreams that you have where you're trying to get somewhere and you almost get there and the next thing you know, you're somewhere else. That's what that book reminded. Marcus Clewer, that's who he is. That's what that book reminded me of. And I was there for it. Again, like I was along for the ride. I suspended my belief. I had a great time. Number 9 and 10. I want to preface by saying everyone that I mention here inspires me, but I divided them based on who I thought needed more hype. And so this is where I'm worried that I may insult someone, or I totally don't intend to. But number 9, 3 booktubers whose content inspires you. Let me again caveat. One of the things that I do on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday mornings, is I get up, I turn the coffee pot on, and then usually I watch YouTube in bed. The danger of that, Booktube specifically, is that I can't tell you how many mornings watching videos by all of these people I'm going to mention that I have sat there and loaded up my cart at Barnes & Noble to go pick it up when they open. And that has become very expensive. Right now, though, I have taken a little break because of that, but also because Top Shelf's on, so now Saturday mornings, or Top Chef, I watch Top Chef, the episode from the previous Thursday, on Saturday mornings. But 3 booktubers whose content inspires you. So I'm going to start with where I'm just going to make a little noise here, with where I found this Booktube tag, and that is with Eric Carl Anderson. He reads a lot of literary fiction. I love his thoughtful perspectives, and even, I have it down here, but it's underneath a pile of books. There was a book that was on the Booker long list last year that I despised. I DNF'd it. I skipped to the end. I didn't like it. But it was lovely to hear Eric talk about the book from his perspective. So even if I don't like something, it could change my mind on it, or it could... I'm looking for another book now. It could just give me an understanding or an appreciation, even if it wasn't for me. Because not every book is for everyone. And you also shouldn't shame anybody for loving what they love. It is what it is. It's subjective, and what I connect with may not be the same thing that you connect with. Next up is Ben Reads Good. Ben does a lot of prize predictions, and I love listening to him talk about how he makes these predictions, because that is not something that I feel able to do at all. So it's interesting to me the way he makes his choices and predictions, and I love to compare what wins or makes the long list and stuff with his prediction. Finally, Greg at Supposedly Fun. Greg is the person I watch whose reading most aligns with mine. We tend to enjoy the same things, and when... This is where I was looking for the book. Can't find it. When we differ on something, it's usually very small. But a great example on when we differed and how it changed my mind is Abby Jimenez. The book I was looking for is Just for the Summer. I read that out of order. I did not realize you were supposed to read or should read some of her books in order because they're like part of a series-ish. So I read Just for the Summer last year, and I was taken aback. I went into it, because of the cover largely, expecting some happy rom-com, and there was real-life trauma in her book. There was a mother going to jail, there was a mother who was not there, and like I said, I was just taken aback. I didn't even know how to rate it. And then I listened to Greg talk about Just for the Summer and the connections he made for the book. So this year, actually a couple weeks ago, I went to the start of that series, which is, I actually have that one, near Part of Your World. And I approached this one differently because of what Greg said in his videos. And then I binged the rest of Abby Jimenez's books that are out there, physical books. And I loved it. Completely changed my perspective on how to approach the books and made something that I was hurt by-ish enjoyable. Okay, final question. 3 booktubers who need more hype. And again, all of these booktubers that I mention and tag are people who've influenced me. So I don't like any one better than any other. I enjoy them all. So first off, I'm going to go with Floss over at the Grape Jelly Library. She is fun and positive. She always makes me laugh. Last year we did a buddy read and read Sandwich together. I enjoyed that experience, first buddy read, and I'm always open to more. And I gotta hurry this up because my camera decides it doesn't want to work anymore, almost. Camera's getting tired. Next is Ellen over at Ellen Made Book Club. She is clever and tech savvy in a way that I'm not. She probably spends more time on the computer editing, and I really admire that because it's not something I'm going to do anytime soon until I get like a professional editor. Finally, there is Renee and her mascot Raina over at Beyond Books. Renee is doing a banned book kind of project lately, and I'm really enjoying that. I've read a lot of the books, and I love hearing about her perspective. Anywho, like I said, I've got to wrap it up because my camera gets tired about 20 minutes in, and it's starting to dim right now. I don't know why. But as always, if you've stuck with me this long, thank you for sticking with me on my journey, and happy reading!